my job, right? Our job, right, is to educate you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care if you look like a fool in the gym or not. I don't. I want you to go try, right? But you have to be smart about it, right? You can't go in and just lift weight because you feel like lifting weight, right? Because people they say, oh, I have bad form. No, there's no bad form. There's what you can't do. Mm. There is your bad form, or what you can't control. There becomes your bad form, right? So your bad form is maybe you can't do a deadlift because your hips won't allow you to get there. Well, what are you doing to make a better hip? If you're not doing anything, then you're going to pull through your back, and then you wonder why you have a back issue. Mm-hmm. But I can still make you do deadlift by raising the weight to you because you can't hinge yourself over to that position. So it's not like we just get rid of the exercise. We modify exercise based on what your demand is, right? So I think as you start to lift smarter, when you do go into the gym, this is where you have to be, I tell people, I want you to work in, right? I want you to work into your body, not work out your body, that's good. Right? So when you are working into your body, you are trying to pay attention to what every aspect of your body is telling you, from your feet to your ankles, to your knees, to your hips, to your back, to shoulders, to wrists, all the above. Where do you feel like you have these limitations at? And then what are you going to do about it once you leave the gym?
I am Brandon Johnson.
I'm Tyler Reckla, and this is the Synergy Code Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Justin Brink. Justin is a chiropractor by license. I don't know about by trade. For 20 plus years here in the Treasure Valley, formerly from the Bay Area, yes. Down in San Jose area. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to get into was I've always had a hard time describing what you are and what you do. How would you describe that?
I'm a human.
No, that's good.
Yeah, sort of.
Not the droids we were looking for. I like it.
I think as chiro, because that's, people always ask, what do you do? I said, I'm more of like a movement specialist, if you will, right? Dabble in a little of everything. A lot of people think, as you know, that I'm a physical therapist. So it's like I'm a hybrid between physical therapy, personal training, chiropractic, soft tissue therapy, bleed them all together.
Yeah.
So you can call me whatever you want. And again, we had that conversation earlier. I'm like, my license says I'm a DC, so a doctor of chiropractic, but that's not what I'm hold to.
That's what I always tell people when I try to describe like who you are. It's like, well, by license, he's a chiropractor,
right? But
he's not a chiropractor in the sense you think a chiropractor is. And so what I always like to say is like he's more of like a mobility specialist.
Yeah.
Would probably be similar.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah. So, not the rack and crack.
Right. So how'd you get away from? Well, I guess let's back up a little bit. How'd you get into? Was chiropractic your main intention, main goal when you got into it?
Oh no.
No. So from the very beginning, you knew that's not what you were going to do.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was so. If we go back, like I wanted to go to dental school, right? So Dad was a dentist, so I thought, all right, I'll take over his practice, right? So started school, realized I do not want to dig in people's mouths, So I'm like, nope, not going to happen, right? And I taught high school for 4 years. I worked on golf courses for 2 years. Played water polo, right? So injured my back, playing one day. I had two guys on the team they were both chiropractors. One just said, hey, come back to the office, and let's adjust you. I'm like, I don't even have a clue what that means, but sure, whatever. Let's fix this thing. Went to the office. He was definitely more of like your rack and crack, type of, just they call it like a straight chiropractor.
So are you in college at this time or?
No, I was out. So I'd already been out of school for over 6 years now.
Okay, gotcha.
And so went in, got adjusted, right? 70% better, my back. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, had a light or a application sitting on my desk, and I'm like, all right, I have to do something. I can't teach anymore because I was teaching on an emergency credential. They're like, you have to either go back to school, get your license, or you need to quit. I'm like, all right, well, let me just apply to school, which Palmer, which was 20 miles north of where I lived in San Jose area. So applied, got in. Degree was in biology, so that was easy. Pre-med, because we're pre-dental, right? So it was easy to get into school, and then just jumped into school, and then.
So you went. So that was chiropractic school.
That was chiropractic school. Yeah. So that was 6 years after like graduating from from college.
So you did the whole chiropractic school thing. How long did you do? Were you a traditional chiropractor at first then?
God, no.
Okay, so like how long did you realize like this is not how I'm going to operate, but I need this license?
I think again, not knowing like really what the profession was, because going into school, I'd only been adjusted one time. So I didn't really have a clue of like,
Even going into school, at this point, just one time.
One time, that was it. So again, I didn't really know what the profession was about, right? I didn't know like how holistic things were. I didn't know how, they, skewed away from mainstream. I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare. Physical therapy school was over in Fresno. I didn't want to, drive over to Fresno to go to physical therapy school. This was sort of I think the easiest sort of, all right, here's my ticket to get in.
So you're chiropractic out of convenience.
Yes, correct. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
So then when like third quarter in school, me and 3 other friends flew to Dallas. We took a soft tissue therapy course. It was called, active release technique. It was a lower extremity. That was, I think, sort of our first time where we got, okay, there's something different, about this. We can put our hands on people. We can start doing some things here. We just always question stuff all the time, right? And so just questioning what this profession was about, again, not knowing anything. So I'm coming in just asking questions, right? And a lot of people are like, don't say that. Don't say this. Don't say this. Why are you saying this? Oh, you're rocking the boat over here. And I'm like, all right, well, that's a problem, And just some of the stuff that the school itself, had, I just, again, didn't agree with. Fast forward, get out of school, or actually, when I was in school, I worked for a doc there in San Jose every Thursday and Saturday for about 2 years, and really got my hands like dirty, right into like, okay, I get to treat people, but I wasn't like adjusting. It was just all soft tissue work. And I would see probably 30 people a day, because it was like 15-minute treatment times. And it's like, all right, so that's where I got good with my hands. At least I think I got good with my hands, so you're seeing 60 people a week, right? So then once I started, getting that, and then I got my degree. And so then I could start actually treating some people. Then I just started questioning everything, because he had a small gym up front, but then just never utilized it. And so I think for me, I'm like, can I build these exercise programs for some people to see if their low back pain goes away? And he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then I started watching these people, like their health improve, because we're just making a move, right? And it wasn't like anything big. It was like simple. Here's a side plank. Here's a plank. Here's a bird dog. Here's a bridge, right? I mean, nothing that was...
all the basic stuff.
Correct, you know. And I'm watching people get better because of that. Whereas they just kept coming in like every other day, all right, I'll see you 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks. And then we're going to go to 2 times a week for the next 4 weeks. And we're going to go 1 time a week for the next 6 weeks. I'm like, holy crap, right? That is a lot of treatments. What are we doing? We're just making noises happen, or what's going on here? So as I started seeing that happen, I just started questioning even more so. Right. And then I started my own clinic. And at that point, it was just a building process of every person that came through was like a guinea pig. I wanted to try so much stuff with people to see if a shoulder pain would get better if we just did this or this or this, and then couple it with soft tissue and couple it with an adjustment if needed, couple it with, laser therapy, or I didn't have muscle stim, but at the other clinic we did. And I'm like, well, that did nothing, right. And heat. I'm like, all right, great, heat, but.
So you're kind of just a whole kitchen sink, see what works.
Right. You know, and the crazy part is you get people moving and things get better. Right. So a lot of it was just people that were just inactive and they didn't do what they were supposed to be doing, which was just movement. Like, don't care what it is, you just don't move. And so getting them just to move or think about, all right, I have a shoulder issue. How do we make a shoulder issue get better? Oh, I have low back pain again. How can I do that? Oh, I can do these 2 simple exercises and my back pain is going to get better. Right. And the answer is yes.
So when it comes to the chiropractic side, and I don't know if you still get this or not. Do people still come to you and like that's what they want when they see the name chiropractic? They want just adjustment. They know that when they're coming to you, that's not what they're getting.
Well, in the Bay Area, they knew that.
Okay.
Right. And I probably had a very small percentage of the people that would just come in just for that, but they'd already been with me for years anyway. So they just out of convenience, they would just come to me, know, and we'd still adjust them. Like, I'm not going to say anything. They know that. Right. And since they know that, they know what my philosophy is. They're not going to change. I'm not going to change them. Come on in. I'm not going to tell you no.
Sure.
Right. So if you're comfortable, not a problem. Here, in the Treasure Valley, a little bit different. Right. Because now that people are coming in, I'm not selling my service as an adjustment. Right. It's like I'm going to couple it with everything else, and your adjustment may not be what you think it is, laying on a table and making noises happen. Right. I'm making you elongate your tissue via movement.
And that's probably a little bit based off of the name you built for yourself over the years too, right? You've been doing this for how long are you post graduation? Or
December will be 19 years.
Okay,
nice.
So for over the last 20 years, you've made a name for yourself. This is the type of work I do. So when those people are finding you, because same way I found him was through Mind Pump.
Right.
That was my first exposure to
Yeah,
it. And a lot of people already know going into it, like, hey, it's more movement based.
Yes.
Right. With the Prime Pro, right?
Yeah, Prime and Prime Pro.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, do you know what Mind Pump is? I think we've talked about it a little
Yes.
bit. It's a podcast. It's the top rated fitness podcast in the world. So Justin did a couple programs with them.
Yep.
Right. And so that's where I found him back when he was working with them a little bit and
Nice.
did a couple programs on there.
So what would you say in your 19, 20 years of experience, what is the common misconception about what you do? Not chiropractic, but exactly what you do.
A misconception what I do? I don't know what the misconception what I would do. I think our profession, right? I think I get pigeonholed into what our profession does, right? So then I'm like the black sheep of our profession, if you will. So I think when they're coming to me, I don't know if it's a misconception. They're coming to me because they've probably already seen everyone else, and then we're now here to put the puzzle pieces together, right? So like, we had talked earlier about that hybrid model, right? So we're, especially in this valley, right, where PT and Chiro are very, like dogmatic and separate, right? It's very cookie cutter on one side and very just adjust only on the other side, right? Where I'm coming in bringing a hybrid approach of all the above, right? Yes, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. And just because my license says, hey, I'm a chiropractor, doesn't mean that I can't give you an exercise. And that's not infringing on physical therapy, because if that's the case, then every physical therapist is infringing upon every personal trainer, right?
I mean, don't get me started on that stuff.
Right.
Like,
So
that's the same thing I run
it's a
into.
whole rabbit hole.
So
right?
what would be the one piece of advice you'd give somebody that wants to get into chiropractic, but as hearing this and is like, actually, I like what Justin's saying. I didn't know that was an option.
Question everything.
Question everything.
Question it.
So
Yeah.
would you recommend somebody getting into chiropractic?
I think it depends on what their goals are, right? And if
Well,
they're-
you started as a dentist, so
Right,
I mean,
so-
you went from in the mouth into
Right.
Because it depends on how far you want to travel. That's the biggest portion.
That's right.
What do you have local to you?
Yeah, I think if someone wants to go to Chiro school, I want to figure out why, right? Is it just I want to get this license because I think I'm a professional? There's been so many times I've just thought about just ditching my license.
Oh,
right?
really?
Because I don't physically have to put you on the table to manipulate your spine, which creates the adjustment. I can put you on the ground and do movements, and your spine is still going to move. It may not make the noises, right? But I'm still moving your spine. So is that an adjustment, or is that a movement that's creating, a separation of tissue, which we can still call an adjustment if that's the case, right?
So let's get into that. Let's get into the whole making noises thing.
Love it.
Let's go into that. So, like, what's your opinion on all that stuff?
I think it's BS.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
Because it's just noises, right? They sell you on the fact that you're going to come in and, well, you just went and saw someone.
yeah, for first time ever.
Perfect.
20
Okay,
years.
so
Wait, that was your
you don't have to
first
say
adjustment ever?
You don't have to say names or
adjustment.
anything, right? At all. But what did they sell you on? What's your treatment package?
Realigning my spine in order for me to feel
How often?
once a week for
For
the
how
next 6 weeks, 6
Why?
to 8 weeks, to get it to basically get my body rewired into not being
How do you know it's out of wire?
Because I can barely move.
That doesn't mean that it's not
Oh,
that
well,
way.
then I
though.
don't know. I have no
Right.
idea.
And his adjustment, his 30-second adjustment, is going to rewire your system. So in 6 weeks, you're a better human.
Essentially, yeah, that's what.
And what happens if it doesn't happen?
I keep on going back
For how long?
until I'm rewired
What
and it's
happens
fixed.
if it's never rewired?
Well, then I'll never know the difference.
And what is it? But what does fixed mean then?
To me, my definition of being fixed is the ability to be able to finally get up out of a chair without hurting, be able to bend down without hurting, be able to run around with my kids without hurting. And
Perfect. So when he adjusts you, does he adjust you in a you bending over position?
No.
Or a sit-stand position?
sit, stand.
Or a move position?
No.
Or a pick up a daughter position?
No.
Or a grab a grocery bag position? No. You're laying on the table and he makes noises happen.
Yeah.
Right? And you go, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And the louder the noise, the better they go, oh, you needed that one. Oh yeah, we got it. What the hell did you get?
Well, I don't know. What's that sound? I
So
thought
noise.
it was just air
It
released
is.
from
That's
my.
what it is. It's air that's being released.
So let's go into the science behind it. Like, what is the adjustment?
Well, not even worrying about the science, right? Because if I lay you on the ground, right, on my table, and I feel your back, but if I had 9 other chiros or physical therapists or whomever, right, massage therapists that understand potential palpation, right, I guarantee we get 9 different answers.
Okay.
Right? So what does tight constitute? You're tight because your movement patterns are off. Not tight because I adjust you and you're going to all of a sudden get more bendy. Right? So how are you objectively handling that? Because if you're now going to change your lifestyle over the next 6 weeks, your biology is going to change. It has to. Right? You want to go to the gym and get stronger. You don't get strong by lifting the same weight. You have to change the weight. You have to change the resistance level. If you keep going back in and he adjusts you the same way every single time, what's he changing? Your neurology doesn't change because your behavior never changed, right? You feel better going in, right? And I feel better coming out now. Perfect for how long? Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you become dependent, and this is our profession, right?
Yeah.
This way, I have to go see my chiropractor every 2 weeks. Why? How do you know that every 2 weeks your body's ready to go get adjusted again? That's dependent care.
Absolutely.
That's what drives me crazy.
Gotcha.
So what do you tell somebody that they're comfortable with that? So you have a client, patient, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They don't care to go home and do the exercise.
They will not stick with me.
Okay.
Go somewhere else. I'm okay with that. Right? Because that's what your goal is. You know that you're not going to get any better. Just keep handing money over and just let them make some noises, and maybe something is going to change. Right? No different in the physical therapy world, right? If you had a sprained ankle, right, and you went to go see the physical therapist, said, I'll see you a month from now, do this one exercise. Wait, what? That's all I get? Yeah, but I'll see you in a month from now. Just do this one movement. That's all I want you to do. Like, how well do you think your ankle is going to get? Right? It's not going to change much because you're not changing any tissue threshold, right? You're not changing your biology at all to make your ankle better. You're compensating around whatever it is. And typically we compensate around pain, right? So if your body, due to your, just lifestyle, due to what you've done in the past, right? So because of all of these things, now we start looking at your training style, right? What are you doing to make your body any better? Right? And if you're not changing your body to make it any better,
or lack thereof,
right? Why would my hands making noises on your spine going to change what you're going to do to make your body move better when you haven't changed your body's ability to move better?
So it sounds like you're getting in a whole different arena, and you got to motivate them to get them going.
Correct.
And then you're teaching them the discipline to keep them growing.
Right.
And the aspect that it's not just laying on the table for an hour or 10 minutes. It's the whole mindset shift into, if you want your body right, I can help start it, but you have to take it along the way. But I'll guide you through it. But it's all so what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when clients come to you, they're coming to you because they want a realignment so they can get more movement. But what you're actually giving them is a mindset shift into their lifestyle, into understanding what movement actually means to them. Because you just said movement to everyone is something completely different.
Yeah, it depends on what your goal is.
Yeah.
Right. If you come in as a soccer player, you're going to be different than your daughter as a gymnast.
Yeah.
Right. Those are 2 different movements.
Yeah.
Right. So their goals are going to be different. So I'd give them the same movement if they needed it.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know what they need.
and it could be close to the same movement but different intention.
Correct.
Too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Intention is going to matter too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when people don't come to me thinking that I'm the chiropractor, right, that they know of, right, they typically have already done their research when they're going to come in and see me, right? And it's me not even trying to change or give them different discipline. I'm really trying to empower them, right, to take their health into their own hands. Gotcha. And I tell almost everyone that walks through the door, if I do my job correctly, I should only have to see you once, right? Because why? If you go home and take what I give you, you're going to change your body. Right. But we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Because why? We need to do a little hand holding. Right. I'm your guide. Right. We can show you things, but I'm not laying. If you laid on my table right now and I adjusted your body and we made everything perfect again, we are the most fragile humans in the world.
Yeah.
Right. If it's that easy to fix things, then everyone would be doing it. Yeah.
But if I can come and see you once and actually listen to what you say, and my life starts getting better, then in the benefit side, that's going to be like, I got to go see Justin again because I want to get motivated again. I want to get to
because what's going to happen is your body changes and adapts more.
And I need a different.
You need another guide.
Exactly.
And another guide. And another guide. Right.
But that's going to motivate me to go tell everyone to be like, hey, come to see Justin, because it's not just, he's not a chiropractor. Right. He's not a crackbacker or whatever you guys say.
Crack.
But back crack. But it's more of a, get your mind right so you can start feeling right.
Right.
It's part of what I've seen too is a lot of times if someone comes in to see Justin, what I've noticed is they come in knowing they don't know anything, knowing that they need what he's going to do with some of the movement, some of the manipulation, some of the soft tissue. They just don't know themselves exactly what to apply yet. Right. So it's not necessarily, I haven't seen much mindset change because the mindset's already changed.
Putting puzzle pieces together.
That's why they've walked into that door. That mindset's already changed. Right. Now they're coming in because they know they need help with this.
And if they are fresh, like they don't know, then that's where, again, when people do come in and I have that interview process, right? Because I'm like, I don't know if I want to treat you or not, right? Because I don't know if you're willing to do what I want to do. If that's the case, I will tell you, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste your money, right? So here, let's help find someone that's going to fit your category that you're looking for. You're just not ready. Maybe you're going to be ready in the future. But I would never sit there and say, nah, you don't work for me. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with them. And that's the one thing for me. I'm like, I'm black and white, right? I'm going to tell you what you need. You're either going to do it or you're not. Yeah. And if not, don't waste your time. Yeah. You're not ready yet. It's okay. Right. Come back in a month or 2 or 3 or 6 or a year, whatever it might be. You're just not ready yet. Right. Go do other things until it gets to the point where you're like, you're beating your head against the wall, you know?
So on top of what you were saying earlier, have you ever had someone come in and they're ready? The mindset was there, the gung ho, they're doing everything you want to do. And 1 or 2 sessions in, they flip. I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do this.
Not so much that they can't do it. They'd say, I don't have time to do it anymore. Okay. And now they start to make excuses because everything we give them, it's not easy. It's not easy to change your body, right? I mean, as a powerlifter, right? As a powerlifter, you want to get stronger. You better go start lifting heavy shit, right? You know, and if you don't lift heavy shit, you're not getting stronger.
Gotta have some sort of adaptation,
right?
Yes.
Yes. So no different with like true mobility, right? And I think mobility gets it's this umbrella term that everyone uses, right? True mobility is like watching paint dry. Right, you taking some of these courses now, you understand like what it is.
Well, and I've heard you say before, there's a reason you call it mobility work,
right?
Because it is work.
It's work.
If it doesn't feel like work, you're probably not doing it right.
You're not changing what you're trying to. You're not changing what you want to change, right? You're just going through a movement, and that's I think what a lot of people do. Oh, I have my 5-minute mobility flow. It's a flow. Right? You're not gaining any more mobility out of that 5 minutes. You already acquired what you've got and you're keeping what you've got. You're not working towards any more space in a joint, right? So, or in a spine or something like that.
So how do you combat the American mindset of I need that instant gratification right now? Like
education.
JG Wentworth, right? Yeah. It's my money. I want it now. Right?
I think as you educate them, right? Again, no different for you. If you walked into that chiro and that's what he's selling you, you don't know any different because you've never been to one before. Fact. Right. And if he's sitting here telling you, hey, I need to see you 1 time a week, for 6 weeks, and this is what we're going to do. But if you're only going in there for a 5-minute session, go see your dentist for 5 minutes. Why not? Right? He'll clean 2 teeth. Like, see ya. Come back next week. We'll clean another 2 teeth. Right? But guess what? The week of stuff that you just did just dirtied the 2 teeth that he cleaned. And then we're always moving forward, moving back. We're never going anywhere. Yeah. Right? You didn't change anything. Right? So since you didn't change anything, what's the process? Why are we doing this? Oh, we're realigning your spine. Your nervous system is going to fire better. You're da-da-da-da-da. Show me the science behind it.
So in your experience, what do you think is the biggest pushback on people wanting to actually be educated for the good and actually getting healthier?
They don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
That's
why it's easier just to take a shot or take a pill.
Yes. They don't want to do the
work.
work.
And I asked that question
because there's a reason why Ozempic is so big.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and we're in a movement right now, I feel, with the MAHA movement, right? Yeah. Make America healthy again. But sometimes it just feels like that's just a slogan, but not a lot of people believe it. I think it goes into people need to be educated on the crap that we've been putting in our bodies for 30 plus years. That's been horrible. And now we got to rewire what's healthy, what's good. But now we talked about it a couple episodes ago about just easy stuff like taking steps, 10,000 steps a day.
But even that becomes a problem.
True.
Right. And the reason I say that becomes a problem, I'd much rather someone go take their 10,000 steps, but they take the 10,000 of the same steps every single day. Oh. There's no change. So now what happens? After the first week, their body already adapted because why? They walk the same, route every single time, but I got my 10,000 in. Yeah, but there was no change to your biology. You didn't change your heart rate. You didn't change any outcome. You just did the 10,000 steps. Which again, I'm okay with that, but again, your body's going to adapt to it, right? And once it adapts, what is the change that's now that you're looking for? All you're doing is 10,000 steps now.
That's why that's a good place to start, right? Yeah. Those are starting points, right? The same thing we were talking. We brought up the powerlifting or strength training.
Yeah.
Is you have what's called progressive overload, and if you don't have that overloading fashion, you don't progress. You don't adapt because your body adapts to whatever you're doing, and it's going to be good at what you're doing. Whatever signal you're sending, it's going to get really good at that one thing, and you're not adapting. You're not growing.
Gotcha.
No,
No,
like
that's awesome.
you said you were in military.
Yep.
Right. What'd you do?
I was law enforcement for 17 years, so I deployed all the time.
Okay. Perfect. So as law enforcement, right? What did you do the same thing every single day?
Oh. So when I was in garrison stateside, I'd be sit stationary for about 12, 14 hours a day, wearing my gear, which is roughly about 20, 30 pounds, sitting in a LE car or walking, getting up and doing my perimeter checks. But it was the same time, same amount of steps, same amount of time. And then when I was deployed, it'd be the same thing, just different terrain. So between the sand or the shell, the mountains and stuff, and then it would be jumping in and out of C-130s. But the weights that I would carry would change on that. But where I'm thinking that you're going here is I was doing the same movement. My body adapted in that aspect of I did 17 years of majority of the time sitting stationary inside of a car, a Humvee or an LMTV, or when I was walking, it was a slow, steady walk, but with 80 pounds on my back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your job made you a ninja at your job, but not a ninja for life.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So you became very good at what you did. Right? You would see new people come in, right? And then when they do it, and all of a sudden the first month or two, they're like, oh my God, my back hurts, my neck hurts, my blah, blah. You're like, I'm 10 years, 15, 20 years in, you're like, because your body adapted to that already. Right? You built the calluses, if you will, right, in that position.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why my body, so like I was telling you earlier, I just retired in June.
Yeah.
And I literally feel like I'm 60, 70 years
Why?
old.
Because you're a different human now.
Facts.
You're not doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And since you're not doing the same stuff, your body is trying to create an adaptation process away from you being ninja for X years as military. Yeah. Right. So now you're trying to figure that out. Right.
So my biggest hesitation on waiting to get massage therapist through Tyler, Top Tier, and chiropractor was, I don't know why, but I thought like if I get my back cracked or massaged a different way, something's going to get released in my body and it's going to make me worse. Right.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of people that go and they get adjusted and it makes them worse. Or there's plenty of people that go in and get, a massage, right? And it makes them worse. Right. So with that being said, it's like, how do you make your body better? You got to go in and actually train it to be better. Right. So if you're going to try and make it better, your body has to create that adaptability to become better. Yeah. Sure. Right. So it's the baby steps, right? I wouldn't want someone to go take 10,000 steps, right? If they had a sprained ankle, but I do want them to take 10, right? Start, right? There's our 10, then 11 and 12 and, so forth.
One of the things that kind of irritated me when I was getting out and I was starting my own business, because I have an executive coaching business, is one of my mentors, she looked at me and said, "You're not disciplined." And I was like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "You're not disciplined." I said, "The hell I'm not.
I grew up that way.
I just grew up that way. I was always told where to go, what to do, what to wear, what to think." She goes, "Yeah, you're military disciplined, but you're not independently disciplined." Right. And she goes, "When you are released out into the world by yourself, basically, how are you going to react to not that structure?" And I take her words and I put it into getting healthy. I put it into like actually going to the gym and stuff, right? Because we've talked about it, we've joked about it. Now that at his spot, he's gonna start having weights.
He won't have an excuse anymore.
I don't have an excuse.
Yeah, we'll have a right.
But what's funny is I was talking to Alexa on this as well. And I said the number one issue that I'm noticing when I talk to people about going back to the gym or just starting at the gym, number one fear is one, people don't want to look like idiots when they don't know what they're doing. Two, now guys are afraid that if we go to the gym and say we're staring at something and someone's recording, they're gonna flag us for sexually harassing anybody at the gym, right?
That only matters if you're on social media.
Yeah. And then my biggest thing is
don't sit and stare.
Yeah. My biggest thing is I like to go, when I go to the gym, I like to go with somebody that one will push me, two will talk to me and teach me in the aspect to where I'm not sitting on the bench where, I'm doing 2 plates on each side and I'm like, oh, this is easy, 7-8 times. And then on the 9th one, I'm like, struggling. And then I gotta be like, help. and someone's like, you can't lift that. I'm like, no, mother effer, I just did it 9 times. That's good for me. Right. But it's just, I think it's more of it's a strike of the ego that I don't know, that we don't know. Right. And I think it's definitely a pride thing. So how would you advise or how would you convince people to combat that?
I don't think you convince them of doing anything. Your job, my job, right? Our job, right, is to educate you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care if you look like a fool in the gym or not. I don't. I want you to go try, right? But you have to be smart about it, right? You can't go in and just lift weight because you feel like lifting weight, right? Because people they say, oh, I have bad form. No, there's no bad form. There's what you can't do. Mm. There is your bad form, or what you can't control. There becomes your bad form. Right? So your bad form is maybe you can't do a deadlift because your hips won't allow you to get there. Well, what are you doing to make a better hip? If you're not doing anything, then you're going to pull through your back, and then you wonder why you have a back issue. Mm-hmm. But I can still make you do deadlift by raising the weight to you because you can't hinge yourself over to that position. So it's not like we just get rid of the exercise. We modify exercise based on what your demand is. Right? So I think as you start to lift smarter, when you do go into the gym, this is where you have to be, I tell people, I want you to work in. Right. I want you to work into your body, not work out your body.
That's good.
Right. So when you are working into your body, you are trying to pay attention to what every aspect of your body is telling you, from your feet to your ankles, to your knees, to your hips, to your back, to shoulders, to wrists, all the above. Where do you feel like you have these limitations at? And then what are you going to do about it once you leave the gym? Do you just be like, I just suck at it and I'm just never going to work on it again? Then something is going to happen in the future. That's where I think CrossFit gets a bad rap, right? Because, I hurt myself in CrossFit. Yeah, but you tore your ACLs in soccer and you never quit playing soccer. But you hurt your back once in CrossFit. You're like, yeah, CrossFit's out, right? I'm like, that's stupid,
One thing, like the one thing you just touched on, I've seen you do a lot with is a lot of hands, feet, ankles, wrists, toes, stuff like that. And that's something you don't ever see anyone talking about. You don't ever see anyone dealing with. I'm big on when it comes to your toes, your feet, your ankles, because it's where foundation where everything starts, right? If your ankle sucks, your toes stuck, you don't have any mobility in your toes, something else probably sucks too.
Yeah. It's up the chain.
Yeah.
When you're walking under stress, the rest of your body's going to be under stress. Yep. It has to be.
Yeah.
Right?
When did you start to develop this kind of like philosophy and mindset towards all this?
Again, probably...
Was it right away?
Again, that was just me questioning things, and then as I just kept taking stuff, and then once I met like the Mind Pump guys, I was already dabbling in a lot of stuff, but they opened a door for me because I could use their facility and just host events, right? So I probably hosted 6, 7, 8 events a year, there. And I hosted FRC, I think 5 or 6 times there, right? Really? Hosting them and every single time taking the class and taking the class and taking the class, and just knowing Dewey and knowing Hunter, knowing these guys, or knowing, Dr. Emily, she's the big foot doctor, Emily Splikel. So she's amazing when it comes to foot stuff, right? She's a podiatrist now out of Arizona. But she does like Barefoot Strong but just meeting, all these different people because I was able to host them. Right. That's what I want to start to do here,
Same.
So knowing who these people are, but now trying to have a facility, that's the biggest part, right? Is like, where can we host this thing? Because I had an office or I had Mind Pump, right? That gave me the ability to do it, right? Here, it's trying to find a gym that says, yes, we'll close down on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for you, or a big enough location that it's not going to cost us an arm and a leg to host someone because everything that we did was always for free. Mm-hmm. So trying to bring new knowledge here, but I'm also selfish, right? Going, I don't know if I want people here to know it yet, Yeah. So that's why bringing like FRC to you, and that type of stuff. And, Valerie, when she was here, I'm like, I don't have a problem sharing the wealth with it, but I also going to be I'm going to be guarded as well because I'm like, no, I want to be that go-to guy here right now. And then let's open up the doors and let everyone else in. But then we're still sitting up here, right? And all you guys are still here.
I mean, you can let people into the grounds, but you don't want to give away the keys to the castle.
Yeah. Right. 100% agree.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say is one of your best experience in your industry that you've had in your 20 years?
I mean, we mentioned earlier, like I got to travel, around the world with a fencer back in 2016, so the country of Panama paid for me to get her, like really trying to get her to the Olympics. And she did. She made it to Brazil, which is amazing.
And you went with her to Brazil?
I didn't know because she actually made it last minute because of, I don't remember what country she lost down in Costa Rica. And then like 2 weeks later, I get a call like 2 a.m. I'm in. And what had happened is there was another girl. It was a South American
She
draw.
alternate or something.
She was an alternate, but this girl ended up brandishing her sword at one of the refs. And then they tested her and she tested positive for steroids. And they realized that it was like the Russians were trying to pay off the refs because they didn't want Eileen to make it. It was like just craziness.
Is this 16 in the
16
Rio?
down in Rio, yeah.
Wow.
And
I just immediately went to dodgeball with Bernice.
During the ADAA required random drug screening, one of your players' urine tested positive for 3 separate types of anabolic steroids and a low-grade beaver tranquilizer. I'm afraid, by rule, your team must be disqualified.
God damn you, Bernice! Oh!
God damn it, Bernice.
But so those are things right there that she got to go, but it was like a last minute thing. Like her coach, like it was crazy, like because the housing was already divvied up and stuff, and so it was cool, that she got to go.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So we're here at Premier Spine Sport, this place you own, right? When you come in, you see a lot of jerseys, signed pictures, shit ton of fighters and boxers and stuff like that. How did you start getting in with all these like high level athletes and stuff like that?
So the first clinic I worked at, they were big with the UFC guys. So Dr. Tedamura, so he was a chiro that was there and had an affiliation with AKA, which is American Kickboxing Academy. Mm-hmm. As in school, then I would just start treating these guys, and so I'm just doing soft tissue work on all these guys all the time. And then once I got my license, stayed there for another, I think, 1.5 to 2 years, just started getting a good, rapport with these guys. And then when I left, like really what it was the straw that broke the camel's back with them, is I was treating all these fighters for the past 2.5 plus years. So when I left, they're like, well, why am I going to stay here? You treated me. Well, you give me the same deal. I'm like, yeah, done. And they all came over.
Oh, cool.
Right. So then they bounced, and came
That's
over with
why
me.
all the fighters.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then, so at that point, and then I was good friends with Kyle Kingsbury at the time, and he introduced me to Eileen, who Eileen was she was the fencer. Kyle knew Victor Conti. So Victor Conti, if you know the whole Balco scandal, right? So then I would go to Redwood City and treat a lot of the baseball players and boxers out of his space. And then I got to travel to Mississippi with some boxers and Victor. And then from there, it's like we just start branching out, from there. And then I knew the head strength coach for the Sharks. And so then he would start sending me people, on that end.
That's why all the Sharks.
Right.
Okay.
So you start seeing these guys, and I would get calls from 49ers, and, so then they would, come in. Or I would go see them. So a lot of it was just word of mouth, as it started growing. Then it's like, okay, I want this guy to come treat me. I want this guy. You can travel with me here. You can do this. You can do this. So then at that point I had more employees as well. So it wasn't me always leaving my office.
Cool.
So I'm like, yeah, you guys get to treat. And
no, that's awesome.
I'm out of here.
That literally shows the power of networking. And that shows the power of getting yourself out of your comfort zone to really put yourself out there. Because what I've heard and what I heard you say is basically you took an opportunity and you seized it. Meaning you were like, heck yeah, I'll work on you guys did this, but I can do it better. I'm going to do it on my own. And you took that risk. Because what I'm noticing is there's a lot of people out there that have a great idea and they want to start a business or they want to be their own boss, but they're so afraid of them not taking the risk. So let me ask you, what was like you said, the straw that broke the camel's back when you left, they all came with you, but what made you want to like venture out on yourself and bet on yourself to be your own boss?
I knew that I could do it better than what they were doing.
By questioning everything?
Because again, there's that, but our profession is very like cookie cutter, meaning you come in, you get muscle stim, you get some heat, we're going to stretch you, we're going to adjust you, and out you go. Or maybe a little soft tissue therapy, right? So a lot of it is high volume. Let's just get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out, right? I didn't want that. Right. But then I didn't want like the physical therapy side of things, which is very cookie cutter. Right. And again, in the Bay Area, there's a lot of hybrids, that are out there, which was fun to work with. But again, just as a whole, I'm like, okay, I knew I could do it better. I went and I got a 3,500 square foot space, right? So we had 8 treatment rooms out in there, and it was just me. So when I first moved into that spot, I had a small cell phone, I had a portable table, I had a chair, right? And people would walk in, and there was a big front desk that was already there, but I had nothing on it. They walk into the first room, and I'm like, do you want the door closed or open? Because there ain't no one in here. You can hear an echo all the way down there too.
Nice.
Hey, it kind of feels familiar, doesn't it?
You got to start somewhere.
Right. So they gave me 4 months of free rent outside of me paying triple net, right? So I'm like, all right, every month I think I owed like $1,200, but by the end of month 4, I owed $4,000 a month. So I had to make it work. right? And so at that point, it was like, let me learn business, because school never teaches you business. I learned zero business, from the clinic that I was working at before. So I had the time to start to build and learn how to bill. I took insurance back then. So it was in learning the insurance billing, learning actually how to call and make calls and do my scheduling. And then, so as I was building, then it was like, okay, I brought in, a friend as a part-time. I brought in a massage therapist, and then my friend's girlfriend came on part-time, like my front desk. And then she just became my work wife, because she was full-time for 12 years. Right. And so she was amazing, but then you just start hiring, people all over the place. And some lasted and some didn't, but it was the learning process of the business, which, you sort of saw here with some of the people that were in and out, that they want to do it, but they don't want to do it. Like, I want all the stuff that comes with the business, but I don't want to do the business.
Justin is 100% of the reason why I considered it for about half a second, but he is the reason why I don't take insurance.
Oh,
yeah. And we'll probably never take insurance.
Why is that? Like,
why is that?
Why is that? Oh, because from my experience, not dealing with insurance, but so I'll give you a little quick story.
Yeah.
Never had to deal with health insurance for my 20 years, me and my family. I retired one June. June 2nd, I got a letter in the mail from my insurance company, and they're like, hey, as of the 31st of May, you and your family are no longer covered. I thought we had 60 days. But then they're like, nope, called the insurance company. I was like, hey, what do I do? And they're like, you get insurance. And I was like, but how do I do this? And they're like, you're almost 40 years old and you don't know how to get insurance. And I was like, no, because it was just done for me. Right. And I'm not sounding like arrogant or ignorant or anything, but that first adulting thing is like the scariest thing. But having to like make sure you get the right health insurance, make sure your family's covered and you're covered. And now when you go to the hospitals or the urgent care and stuff, it's like the health insurance is so dynamic and so confusing. And so I
there's the biggest word.
Confusing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But right? I think it's confusion from my standpoint. I think it's confusion on purpose. And the reason why is because the more confusion it is, the more money they make, because it's easier for them to put weird line items into your bill to make you charge, ridiculous amount of money. But then certain insurance only pays, like if you were taking insurance and you charged $500, well, I know the insurance I was on would probably only pay you 110.
Right.
And then there's nothing you can do. And they'll be like, well, you can do the rest as a taxable income because you helped a military member. And it's like, that doesn't help small businesses at all.
That was part of the reason we were talking about, because they'll pay you what they want to pay you, and you have no choice.
They have a schedule. They have a schedule that they will pay people on. I mean, I could charge $1 million. Like, I'm going to pay you $17. Done. I could spend 8 hours with someone. I'll pay you $17.
That's ridiculous.
Right? Because when you walk through my door, you're a code. That's all you are.
Right?
With insurance. So for me, you're 4 codes. Right? You're a spinal adjustment code. You're an extremity code, right? You're an exercise and you're a soft tissue. But I can't adjust the same area that I do soft tissue on because they say it's the same thing. So now I have to treat 2 different areas and I have to do soft tissue work on a different area for you. That means I have to have 3 or 4 more codes, right? Or diagnosis codes that now are going to warrant me being able to do that. And now if I'm going to spend time with you, like I have like 8 to 12 minutes to spend doing some soft tissue work. Right? So that's 1 unit. So if I do 2 units, are they going to pay me on 2 units or only 1? So if I spend 20 minutes doing soft tissue work, they paid me on 1, I just lost out on 8 minutes of time.
Time is money, money is time.
Time is money. Right. So this is why for me, I'm like, I don't want to watch a code coming through here because now I'm watching the clock. Right? You are now not a human coming through my door anymore. You are 4 codes walking through my door, and how can I make the most amount of money in the time that I have while you're here? That's why you go see your doctor. They have a 7-minute time frame. That's an average.
How much pushback in your career have you received by questioning everything?
A lot.
Right? No, I think that's absolutely awesome. Like, I love the idea of questioning everything in a respectful way, obviously, but it's to not only know the system, but it's to understand the processes and like push back on the whole idea. Well, this is the way it's always been done, and this is the way it's going to be. Why? But it's now, 2025.
No, let's take it a step further, though. You pay for car insurance. Mm-hmm. Why does it not cover your tires, your paint, your alignments, your oil changes? But yet you pay for it. But yet now you want your health insurance to cover your physical therapy, your adjustments, your massage, your all the other fluff that goes along with it because you're not willing to do it on your own. Right? Well, then go do your own oil change. Yeah. It's cheaper. Change your own tires. It's cheaper. Right? But yet we're not willing to do that. But yet you're going to go pay cash for it. right? And so when people now come into me and they're like, oh my God, you're expensive, right? Yeah, but what do you want? Do you want to keep seeing me over and over and over again? Well, why don't you take insurance? I'm like, you pay for your insurance regardless. You pay for a premium every single year. How often did you go to the doctor last year? I didn't go at all. Perfect. How much did you spend? Right? What was your premium that you paid on a monthly basis, right? That you never went and saw the doctor. So take that $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 right there and just throw it in the garbage because you didn't use your insurance at all last year. You could have taken that $7,000 and spent it on something else. I guarantee you would have used it, but you rolled the dice on the fact that you weren't going to get sick, but now you are, right? So when it comes to what we do, right? We're like this, we're fluff, right? We're here to help you get healthier if that's the case, right? But if you need surgery, I'm all for insurance. Like, I mean, I've had surgeries myself, right? Yeah, I paid, I think, $45 total with copay because of my insurance, right? Love it. But that's catastrophic, right? That's not luxury, right? And so if you want to get fixed or be better, right? What are we going to do, right? Come in and let's make you better. Yeah. But it's going to cost something for you to do it because I want to see if you're invested in you. Right? So if you're willing to pony up a couple $1,000s to come in and see me, right? You're not going to let that couple $1,000s go to waste.
Hell no.
You're going to bust your ass to do what you need to do.
What comes out of your pocket a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
right.
I see that same thing in my industry. People are like, well, you're either too cheap or you're way too expensive. And it's like, well, information is free, but implementation has a fee. And that fee is investment in finances and in your time and your energy. Because if you're not going to do those three things, then why am I going to do it for you?
Yeah, my brother-in-law is a big financial guy, and he says the same thing. He's like, on his LinkedIn, he's talked about that. He goes, everyone wants a piece of my time. He goes, let's go grab coffee. I want to pick your brain. He goes, go onto my LinkedIn. I've got over 300 articles on LinkedIn, right? Go to my YouTube, go to my this. If you want my information, he goes, I've already posted it. You don't need my coffee. You don't need my time.
That's cool.
He goes, my time is worth something to me. I'm going to go spend it with my kids, or I'm going to go make another couple $1 million.
You tell your brother I'm going to take that notes and I'm going to start using that. Because I release articles every Monday, right? Because people love what I do because I'm a high energy executive coach and they love interacting with me. And they're like, I want to be near you because of your energy. Yeah. And at first I was like, heck yeah. So starting out and I needed that exposure. I needed this, people to start talking about me in a positive light. And now it's starting to be like, well, wait a minute. The time I'm wasting on you is time that's pulling me away from a possible client or a possible lead. And so that's why I'm a big proponent in that information is free, but the implementation has a fee.
Yeah. Like if you ever read that book, 10X Easier than 2X. Yeah. So go read the second chapter. That's my brother-in-law.
Oh crap. Okay. Yeah. Will do.
There you go. That's him. The first sentence when I saw him, like, talking about Chad Wilderson, like, so I sent him a screenshot and he goes, oh yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah.
How much would it cost for a signature on that?
Right.
I got an insider track. I know Justin. I know your brother.
So a lot of the reason I do what I do and the reason I'm going the way I'm going is because of what he does. Okay. I modeled a lot of what I do after seeing you work, seeing him through Mind Pump and all that stuff too. Same way. So I'm trying to break the mold of massage therapist in the same way he's trying to break the mold of
just healthcare. Healthcare in general.
Yeah. So what? So then, what is the biggest questions that you've pushed back on yours based on what you learned from Justin?
As far as like the way I operate, it's the same thing. Everyone wants to come in and they want. One of my biggest things is people will come in. They'll say, they're here. I'm healing them. I'm fixing them. I'm not a fixer. I'm not a healer. That's not what I do. I facilitate. I facilitate their health. I facilitate their healing by education. Yeah. That's why yesterday when I gave that presentation, it was a education portion. Had nothing to do with anything I will ever do physically, hands-on at all. It was all education. Yeah. Because if I can educate the clients, they're going to get better over time. Yeah. Right. I can't be with them 24 hours a day. I can't watch them move. I can't watch them do things. I can't hold their hand through everything. I have to educate them if I want them to go from A to Z. Yeah. That's
and they say that Americans, at least, we need to hear stuff at least 7 times before it starts to ring true, or right? More, or more. But 7 times is like the minimal of that we need to hear it repeated. And so, like on Tuesday, you talked about rice, how we were taught rice was God, rice was the Bible, and then you're like, the guy who even invented rice was like, this is bullcrap.
Yeah,
like,
stop doing it.
Don't ice, heat. You need to encourage the flow. Which
or totally, move. It was mostly move.
Yeah, not even heat.
But it's like now that makes sense because what does ice do? What does cold stuff do? It contracts, and you want the blood flow to go, so you want it to expand. So movement and heat makes total sense. But it's so funny that when did he invent that? Like 74? Yep. So it took from 74 to 2015 before he was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think if you talk about that for a second, I think a lot of the information we get stuck underneath the umbrella and then we don't question it, right? Again, go to the chiro, go to the PT, go to whomever that says, oh, we're going to put some ice on it. There's a place for ice. Yeah. There is. You roll the ankle, it's the size of a grapefruit. Perfect. We need to decrease some of the swelling. But if someone comes in with a shoulder issue, says, should I ice my shoulder? I'm like, I don't know how much inflammation's in there. Well, I can feel it. What do you mean? What can you feel? Right? What does that feel like?
Everyone can feel their inflammation.
I don't know what that feels like, right? Yeah. But then the flip side is when you have iced or you know about icing, how long do you keep it on for? What do they tell you?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Like typically people like, 20 on, 20 off, right? Easy thing. But if I said 20 on, 20 off, and you put one, package of ice on your glute, or you put one on your wrist, we have 2 different tissue types.
Oh yeah.
Right? So now we have 2 different tissue types. What is the point to where my wrist freezes versus my glute? Oh. So now at what point do I create this vasoconstriction and I leave it on too long, which now creates vasodilation, right? So now we're creating the adverse reaction as to what we wanted our body to actually go into, right? So this is, I think, where it's not bad information, it's just misinformation, right? We hear something and we just stick with it across everything, right? Versus going, wait a minute, I hurt my wrist, but yet last week I put it on my hamstring. Yeah. My meat on my hamstring is a lot different than my wrist.
Facts.
Right? So now it's because I have this neurology here is different than here, and now all of a sudden my fingers go numb. Yeah. Right? Okay, now we have a different problem. Or I created like frostbite, right? Because I did leave it on that tissue too long because it went numb 17 minutes ago, So I think that's where the questioning comes into play. Right? Why?
Well, and I feel like in today's society, questioning certain things are like motivated and encouraged. But it's still like on the healthcare side, it's scary to question things because
we just went through chaos.
We just went through
5
chaos
years ago.
And we were told, because like they told us you had to get the shot. Right. If you didn't get the shot, you got kicked out of the military. Well, when that came out, I was at 17, 18 years. And at that time, if I would have got kicked out, I would have got my retirement and I would have been screwed.
Sure.
Right. So unfortunately, I had to get the shot. I got the shot. I pushed it out as long as I possibly can. But then now you come back and you start hearing the information like, actually, we shouldn't have took the shot. The people who question, the doctors who question it, they were actually right to question it. But then they're like, well, scientists, 9 out of 10. Okay, well, I want to talk to that one scientist that is dissenting from the 9, right? And hearing you throughout the last hour, what I've been listening to is you're the type of person that would encourage people to be that dissenting voice just to learn more so they can make the smart decisions. Right. So what would be your advice? What would be your advice to someone who's legitimately thinking about getting into the healthcare realm outside of questioning it, but how to question it the right way to make it
know why you're getting into it.
Okay.
Don't get into it because you think you're going to make millions of dollars.
So you're not. So you're not going to make millions of bucks being a business owner?
No.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no.
I don't want to do this no more. I'm done.
Not at all.
You lied to me. Justin, you lied to me.
You should have done a long time ago.
Can you make good money? 100% you can. Yeah. Right? Are you going to make millions? It depends. Do you want to scale or do you want to stay individual? Individual, there's no way you're ever going to do it. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Right? You want to scale, then all of a sudden now you're not doing what you love anymore. Right? You are now running the business unless you love the business part. I love that part. That's like my competition. Right? I love that aspect of it. Right? It's fun for me. Right? Sit here and just start going down rabbit holes of stuff, but then I get sucked into it and I'm like, oh, I got to come up and actually got to run my business, So there is that part.
Speaking of the business part, so you started all this down in the Bay Area, down in San Jose. Why are you here?
Get out of California for what we just talked about.
Attaboy, that's what I'm talking about. So let me ask you, the first thing that you did when you moved to Idaho, was it to take off your California plates?
As fast as you could.
You weren't even in the state line, and you're like,
as you could.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they didn't last very long, did they?
No, not at all.
How long have you been up here now? 3 years? Has it been 3 years?
3.5 years. Okay. Yeah, now is June. Yes, 3 years with that because I did back and forth for about 6 months.
Nice.
Okay. And then realized I just can't do this. So closed the office, shut the doors, and then just moved here full time. Took about a year off, and just sort of dabbled, played some golf, met people, had a good time. And then started, we bought this place here and started, this was the whole crazy bit, here in the office. But, after that, it was, let's go.
How's the adjustment been for the family?
They love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. It's been good. Girls love it, they love it.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you too, back to some of the people you've met through everything is how'd you get hooked up with the Mind Pump group? How'd that come about?
So I I followed Adam on Instagram, and it was, I think, like Love to Hate Adam or something like that was his like Instagram handle, or something way back in the day.
I don't know if I ever saw it, but I remember him talking about it.
And he was doing a 90-90 exercise on there, and I like reached out and sort of, I think I like tore him up, on the 90-90, said, hey, do this, try this, do this, do this, and so then we just sort of were DMing back and forth a little bit on there. And then I saw that they were, because they would teach at Orange Theory as well, or he did, right? And a bunch of my clients just loved him, as a trainer. And then they were teaching a class, introducing who they were and stuff at an Orange Theory. I was actually hosting an animal flow course that weekend, right? And I'm trying to think of the guy's name, but he's out of New York. So he and I went to the course, that they were teaching, and then he had to go to the airport. So I drove him to the airport really quick, and I came back, sat there, waited for everyone to go, and went up and introduced myself, and I told Adam, said, I'm the guy that was talking about your 90-90, and then we started talking. He goes, you're a chiropractor? And I said, yes, but no, and then, met Sal, met Justin and Doug, and I said, hey, come into the office, let me assess you, let me just show you, what I do and how we're different. If there's a fit, perfect. If there's not, no harm, no foul, and all four of them came on in, and it was it was fun, because the first thing I did is talk about Adam's feet and how he couldn't squat, and then how he could never actually, he would always talk about he couldn't set like his right shoulder when he was posing, because he was doing the bodybuilding stuff, right? And we did some work with it, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, that thing just set.
Because when was this on their career in the podcast?
This is the very beginning. This is, I think, they were at Doug's living room or something.
They were still there.
I think that's where they were. Yes.
Yeah, because when he was doing the bodybuilding, that was right.
Yeah,
at the
this was, I
beginning
think,
of
like 9-10 years ago is when this was, because I think Prime Pro has been out for about 8 years.
Is it that old?
2017, I think. Yeah.
I'm trying to think when I found. I think that may have been about the time I found my book, was like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So I think that was about the same time.
So I knew them before that, and then we just they would come over and then just start treating them, and just became better friends on that end, and then
cool.
Built that program, and just was texting Adam this weekend.
So Mind Pump, that podcast, along with like Prime Pro and a couple other, I think Stan Everdeen was one of them.
I introduced Stan to them.
You were telling me about that. And then I think there was one they did with Mark Bell that was on there too.
Yeah, Flex was on there also.
And that was the whole reason I do what I do now.
Really?
Is because of that podcast. There was something, I can't remember who said what. Someone said something, and it like shifted my mindset. I didn't want to do I hated what I was doing. Didn't want to do it anymore. I wanted to do something different. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do something like healthcare specific. I'm going to change everything. And I did, and that's what I'm doing.
And because you made that decision, now we have a podcast together.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
It's probably the worst decision I've ever made.
Thank you, Mind Pump, for doing that. Because now he's stuck with me. That's what I'm talking about.
You're welcome. Yeah. No, I'm still, I think to this day, still talks about his feet and ankles. Yeah. Anytime something comes up, he's like, well, Dr. Brink tells me this, this, and this. Like all the time, he still hammers that.
That's cool.
It's funny.
That's awesome. So who would you say is your mentor, like your go-to mentor, and what's the best advice you've ever received?
My go-to mentor back before I moved here was Jeff Tucker. So he was a chiro down in like Beverly Hills area. Amazing guy, super smart. He was my intro into like the rehab world. The very first course I ever took was through NASM, was their CES and their PES, right? So I took that. I met him, and it just left my head. He owns Northwest Sports Rehab up in the Tacoma, Seattle area. It just left my head. Anyway, so Jim Kurtz. So met both those guys, and they're both chiros, right? And I'm like, oh, all right, this is pretty cool, right? And I knew that Jeff, he taught this course in our chiropractic profession called our Diplomate in Rehab. So then I hosted him up, right? And it's a year-long course, right? So then since then I've hosted him 3 times, to take, this course. But just, I could always just call him and just bounce ideas off of him. And he knew business, right? So he ran a great business. His wife owns, I think like 10 or 12 like Maria's Italian food restaurants down there. He was part of the YPO, organization as well. And so he just knew his stuff, right? So anytime I had questions, he would fly up or whatever, and I could just pick his brain. So that right there was, I think, just hands down, just valuable knowledge, for my first 15 years, and then, moving here now, it's like, all right, now rebuilding and doing things a little bit different.
Because you kind of entered the mentor side.
Right. Yeah. So now, like with Logan, who was here, the intern, he was, I think, like my 22nd intern that I've had,
20, he's the 22nd.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and probably the worst one, right?
No, he was actually the best.
No, he was the worst.
He was.
I hope he sees this too.
So and I joke with him. I'm like, I would hire you in a second because he understood business.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't care about how your hands are. I don't care about how shitty your adjustments might be, because that is just reps, right? You can learn that stuff, but you have this innate ability to understand the business part. That's what I want. Right. And so we're still talking now, about, I need you to come out here, so
I've even tried a couple times too.
Yeah.
I just listened to him. He's like, now he's going back to South Carolina.
yeah, they're already out there. Yeah.
Are they already out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
funny.
seeing him pack up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
So what's the best advice you received from your mentor?
I don't know if he gave me this, but again, question everything.
Okay.
I think just be open-minded, but question things, right? Don't be a jerk about it if you don't agree with it. It's okay. You can not agree, or you can agree and not agree. It doesn't make a difference, right? But just question and know your why, right? Understand why you're doing what you're doing. Are you doing it because you want to go get rich? Then you're doing it for the wrong reason, right? Or are you doing it because, like, especially like healthcare, right? We do it because we want to help people. But at the same time, lawyers want to help people too, and they charge a lot, right? And no one balks at it. So why do they balk at us, right? And so for me, and like my rate here in the area, I'm probably one of the most expensive here in the area, but I'm okay with that, right? Because I already know what my 18 years has given me, and I know what I've done with my 18 years. You can walk in on my office and see what's on my wall as well if you want to see that there's accolades on that end, right? But for me to do it, I'm also giving you value. Right. I want to empower you to fix you so you never have to come back and see me. Right. If that's not worth a couple $100, good luck.
how often does when you question everything, how often does that come across as you said, not to be a jerk, but how often does that come across as such?
Sometimes. Yeah. Especially when you're sitting in classes and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. I mean, there's been plenty of times when I have friends that teach stuff and I'll answer and I'll ask questions and like, you're such a dick. Why'd you have to ask that?
Why'd you have to put me on the spot?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not to do that, but I want to engage conversation. I want them to understand pros and cons on both sides. Right. If it's just always, roses all the time, then it's always just gonna be roses.
Have a dialect. Just a
right.
conversation.
Even my time here with Justin, a lot of it, like even our conversations was, it's not so much like trying to come across as a jerk or even question it. It's just to make you question your decision.
Why are you doing what you're doing?
Because I think it makes you better, to be honest with you, because then it helps you come across as genuine and authentic if that's your goal, right? Because some business owners, they're just doing it for the money.
Well, not only that, there'd be sometimes where I might have an idea and I talk to him about it and he's like, why? And I don't have a good reason to back that up.
Yeah.
And then having a dialogue with him, I come out of that, my mind changed like, well, that was a stupid idea. I'm going to try something different.
but it was an idea, right?
But that's the thing. That's the thing about it. I had an idea. I talked to him. Yeah. He says why, or he, gives me some other reason to maybe disprove what I'm thinking or whatever. Or maybe he said, he gives me some reasoning that, oh no, I think this is a good idea, right? And then I come away with reassurance, like, cool, that probably was a good idea. Or that's a stupid ass idea. I'm gonna try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said earlier, Justin, in the fact of you can't teach business per se, like the internal understanding of how business works, right? Yeah. And what I notice is people spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to business school.
Oh, yeah.
But what I've noticed being in business for 2.5 years, I've learned more on the streets, networking, meeting people like yourself, and just like picking brains in the aspect of how to make it work in the real world, because the book was written probably 20 years ago. Well, the corporate America doesn't operate the way it did in 2020 or 2005 as it does to now, and it will in the future. Right. And so I guess my biggest thing is like, how do you motivate people? What's your one advice that you'd want to give to anybody listening that just wants to get in business in the aspect of, and they're curious on how to make the right moves or how to go up to someone and ask them, hey, can you mentor me or all
just
that stuff?
Ask. All they can do is tell you no.
Yeah, that's true.
All you can do is say no.
I always tell them when they go up to, like, if I was going to be like, hey, Justin, will you mentor me in business? I would always make sure that I would be like, I have at least minimum 50 questions to ask you, so that I'm not wasting your time, right?
But I don't think it is ever a waste of time, because even if we said nothing and you watched how we do things, you should be able to walk away with something.
That's true.
Right.
That's good.
So are you in there to learn, or are you in there to ask those 50 questions? Gotcha. Because then that person may go, oh my God, another one, another one. Yeah, but if they're going through stuff, right, and you're able to like see what they're doing, is it something that now those 50 questions can be asked over a period of time because you're asked to come back? right? And if you're not asked to come back, there's probably a reason.
How'd Logan find you? How'd that come about?
He was looking on something. They were looking to come out here and saw that I was more movement based and that type of stuff. And I think that's how he came out.
Was Andrew about the same way?
Andrew was working in Salt Lake, and then he was looking to come this way and just reached out to a bunch of people, and I just emailed them back and said, yeah, this is what we have to offer. And then he actually listened to Mind Pump and didn't know that I was the one that built Prime and Prime Pro and stuff like that until he's
wow.
oh, you're that guy.
That's awesome. Small world.
When Alexa's a big Mind Pump fan, right? So the first time she ever came and saw me, she saw me here, right? And she came and she's like, "You're in Dr. Brink's office? Like, this is super cool." she was kind of nerding out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right. So if I was to ask you, what is your one ask that you want to give to me and Tyler or our listeners, what would it be? What can we do for you?
I don't know if there's anything you can do for me, right? What I like about like this, your synergy code is there's synergy, right? And if you guys are bringing synergy to the Treasure Valley, right, or however far your reach wants to go, right, I think that's you're bringing
worldwide.
People, right? You're bringing people on that you do have synergy with. Yep. So here, like I'm trying to figure out synergy with people here in the area, right? So if people are going to listen to it and they like what I have to say, come on in, right? And let's see if there's a synergy.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So with that, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
So my office is Premier Spine and Sport, here in the Treasure Valley. So Instagram, handle is Premier, Spine and Sport. And then I have my own as Dr. Justin Brink, as well. So either one. Website, same thing. So
easy.
It's easy. Simple.
Easy money. I like
easy.
it. Well, I appreciate you and the hour that you spent with us.
Yeah.
You're a busy man, so I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
My mind is blown.
This was a long time coming.
Yes,
so especially
absolutely.
since we're kind of in your domain,
in your spot. So we appreciate it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to look like a fool in front of Justin. He's like, just be yourself. And I was like, fine. I'm going to be a fool.
That's being himself. That's what we're doing.
Awesome. But no, I appreciate the insight and stuff.
Well, thank you.
You motivated me. So this is awesome.
Cool. Sweet.
Question everything.
Yeah, that's it. Have fun with it.
Thank you for listening to the Synergy Code podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe and follow us on all platforms. To stay up to date with all things Synergy Code, follow us at the Synergy Code Pod on social media. Also, thanks to our main sponsors, Top Tier Massage Therapy and Performance Recovery, MEI Coaching, ProX Productions, and the Digital Unicorn.